In the Wild Thornberrys, it was always a little weird to think that Darwin was arguably the most normal person in the family, especially when you consider that he's not even a person to begin with. He's a chimp who, for some reason, preferred to live a domesticated lifestyle rather than to live wild and free like the rest of the animals that the family ran into. Honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I realized how bizarre Darwin's backstory was. That being said, Eliza's life would not have been the same if it wasn't for Darwin. Because let's not forget, Darwin was the reason that Eliza got her powers after all, or at least the reason she unlocked her full potential. It was actually in the same episode that fans learned the truth about Darwin's history with the family that we also learned how Eliza got her gift to speak with animals, Gift of Gab. Interestingly enough, even though Darwin played an important role in Eliza's life, the episode showed that he would want everyone to remember his story a little differently. The Gift of Gab opened up with a 10-year-old version of Eliza. As she wandered around the Nigerian jungle by herself, she was unexpectedly attacked by a giant python who tried to eat her. Lucky for her, Darwin jumped in and saved the young girl's life. As cool as that was though, the bravery was oddly out of character for Darwin, which is why it wasn't surprising when the episode continued with Eliza explaining that she didn't remember it that way, and then proceeding to tell the real story of what happened. According to the episode, and Eliza, her journey with Darwin started about 2 years prior to the episode when she was 10 years old. It was during the Thornberrys' first excursion to shoot an episode of Wild Thornberry's Animal World, when the family camped out in Western Africa. While in their camp, Eliza noticed a chimpanzee who tried to hide from her, but her persistence ended up being the start of a wonderful friendship. However, after watching more of the episodes, I still can't help but wonder why Darwin was so eager to be domesticated compared to other animals. The episode continued by showing Eliza winning over the chimp by speaking with him in his language, although he was quickly scared off after her older sister Debbie decided to throw makeup at him. Now, I know what you're thinking. What does any of this have to do with Eliza getting her powers to speak with animals? Well, if it hadn't been for Darwin running away from her, Eliza never would have been able to prove her love for animals and earn the gift for herself. You see, the Gift of Gab episode continues with Eliza chasing after the chimp that she was trying to befriend. Only, instead of finding Darwin, she discovered a lone warthog with its leg stuck in a bear trap. Eliza, being the animal lover that she was raised to be, didn't think twice about helping and freed the warthog's leg, only to be thanked in the coolest way possible. As cool as it was though, I don't want that to overshadow the fact that it led to some pretty strange realizations about Darwin and his need to live comfortably. But I'll get into that in a minute. After freeing the warthog in the episode, the animal slowly started to approach Eliza, and before he could reach her, something crazy happened. On the spot, the once four-legged animal transformed into a man who immediately rejoiced about being turned back into a human. The man explained to Eliza, who was understandably confused, that before he was a warthog, he was a shaman who supposedly couldn't stand animals. Weird turn for the story to take, I know, but as he continued telling Eliza what happened, he explained that as he hated animals, he couldn't stop himself from eating a sheep that belonged to the high shaman of his tribe. The high shaman was apparently so angry about the loss of his sheep that he placed a curse on the man that he would be transformed into an animal and would remain that way until he was helped by a human who truly loved animals. The reason that he was turned into a warthog was because the high shaman believed that most people wouldn't stop to help a gross, disgusting, smelly animal, which, again, is kind of a weird turn. Like, rude to warthogs much? This is where Darwin's influence comes back into the picture, even though Eliza hadn't formally met the chimp yet. The episode continued with the shaman explaining to Eliza that he would grant her a single wish as a thank you for saving him. After struggling to communicate properly with the chimp she had met earlier, Eliza decided that her one true wish would be to have the ability to talk to animals. Little did she realize this would lead her to befriend one of the strangest animals in the animal kingdom. But what exactly made Darwin's relationship with Eliza and the rest of the Thornberrys so weird? Honestly, it's the simple fact that the episode depicted Darwin as a chimp that essentially wanted to be domesticated and to live a comfortable and contained life, which is vastly different from most other animals in the show. You see, as the episode continued, Eliza eventually began calling out into the jungle to see if any animals could understand her. The only response she got was a voice from above asking if he could eat a bug that was crawling through her hair. Eliza was elated to see the chimp that she was searching for, and the chimp was equally excited to finally have a human that he could speak to. The pair exchanged names, and because Eliza couldn't quite pronounce Darwin's real name, she opted to call him by the name that fans all know him as, which is nice of him, but again, it's weird that he was just like, yeah, sure, give me a different name, that's cool. After talking for a bit, Eliza suggested to Darwin that he go back with her to the convey that her family drove and then stay and travel with her family. Now, as a wild animal, you might have expected Darwin to respectfully turn down the offer, especially since he likely didn't have many positive interactions with humans in the past. But according to the story being told in the episode, Darwin happily accepted the offer, with his only concern being whether or not Eliza's parents would be okay with him living there. Thankfully, Nigel and Marianne had big hearts just like their daughter, so Eliza was certain that they would have no problem with it. Eliza and Darwin returned to the camp, where the young girl gave her new friend his signature striped shirt and blue shorts. Again, it's weird that Darwin was not only okay with putting clothes on, but he actually seemed to be more comfortable in them than he was out of them. This kind of makes me think that there was something in Darwin's past that the Wild Thornberrys never explained. Sadly, instead of learning more about Darwin, the story continued by following Eliza and the mistake she realized she made. Do you remember what that mistake was? After trying to talk to Nigel and Marianne to ask them if Darwin could live with them, Eliza quickly realized that she could no longer communicate with other humans. That's right, in the episode, the creator showed us that there was a huge drawback to Eliza's gift, at least at first. After realizing that she couldn't talk to her parents anymore, the episode continues with Eliza and Darwin rushing back into the jungle to look for the shaman. Things started to get a little dark for the otherwise cheery Eliza, as she began to wonder what would happen if she couldn't find the shaman and couldn't talk with humans anymore. Darwin tried to comfort Eliza and claimed that she could still speak with him, which I'm sure was comforting, but not exactly what Eliza needed to hear. It was at this point in the episode that Eliza noticed a truck driving by with the shaman in it. However, as she tried to call out for him, it probably just sounded like another animal making noise in the jungle, so he ultimately continued driving without even realizing the girl that saved him needed help. The episode continued with Eliza and Darwin searching high and low for any sign of the shaman, and surprisingly enough, it took a while for them to even realize they could be using her power to get help. Once they remembered that Eliza could speak with animals, they started asking around to see if anyone had seen the shaman, but the first few animals that they asked weren't very helpful. First, a group of monkeys attacked her and Darwin with tickles, and then a vulture pressed the pair for being too fresh for it to eat. Not a very warm welcome into the animal kingdom. Just as Eliza was about to give up hope though, she happened to run into a hartebeest who explained that not all animals are mean. It depends on who you talk to. The hartebeest agreed to help Eliza find a road and then eventually find the shaman, which they managed to do after running into a few snags along the way. Now, do you think Eliza thought it would be easy to get her normal voice back? Interestingly enough, it wasn't hard for the shaman to reverse the spell that he cast on her, but thankfully, there was more to Eliza's story than that. After reuniting with the shaman in the episode, he explained that he could still understand her, and even better, he could give her the ability to talk to people again. The only thing was, she would then lose her gift and ability to talk to animals. Eliza was saddened by the idea, and after a few somber words to Darwin, she humbly requested that the shaman cast the reverse spell on her so that she could communicate with humans again. Eliza and Darwin, who still appeared friendly, were about to walk away from the shaman and return to their lives, when all of a sudden, Darwin slipped in a patch of mud. Eliza quickly rushed to grab Darwin and keep him from sliding down the cliff. But in the process, she almost fell off with him. Thankfully for both of them, the shaman used his scepter to pull them back up. The episode continued with Darwin and Eliza saying goodbye once again, but when the shaman realized how much Eliza cared about animals and Darwin specifically, he suddenly remembered a stronger spell that he could try with Eliza's permission. How convenient! The shaman cast a third spell, which turned out to be the one that allowed Eliza to speak with both animals and humans, so that she could form a connection with anyone and anything. As you know, after that, Darwin continued to live with the Thornberrys, where he became very comfortable living a domesticated lifestyle. Eliza continued to help animals with the gift that Darwin gave her. I'm curious though, do you think there's a reason why Darwin wanted to live in comfort rather than in the wild like other animals in the show? Be sure to let me know in the comments below.